are watching Today's Entrepreneur. I'm Janet Zapala. Thank you for joining us. Our special guest today is Bob Afsari. He is the co-founder of Business on Market Street, which is a go-to market agency. We'll talk about that. First of all, I want to welcome you to the show,
Thank
Bob.
you, Janet. Thanks for having me.
And I want to talk about your past a little bit, because you were really on the road to becoming, I guess, a doctor, because your whole family is into medicine. And you're smart enough to do it, but you decided, that's not for me. So let's talk about, at that point in your life, what led you to become an entrepreneur, or why you wanted to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I went to school, got my degree in neurobiology, have a strong love for science and medicine, but just realized it didn't get me moving. My heart just wasn't into it. The challenge was great, the science is great, but at the age of 25, decided that it was time for me to try to follow my heart. And I moved to San Diego, and that's where it all began.
And you began as a sales associate?
Yeah, I started on the ground floor as a sales associate I actually did commercial real estate for a couple of years, and that's where I really started to get my sales background. And then from there, moved into a private equity firm and started doing even more sales.
How did you decide what kind of entrepreneur you wanted to be?
It kind of found me. You know, it wasn't with the commercial real estate, it didn't really get me moving as well. But then when I went to go work for the private equity firm and I was getting involved in business development and helping companies grow, it was the type of job where I'd go to bed at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and love what I was doing and always felt excited and energized to go.
So you felt that you found, or the
found
calling had found you and you found it. Let's also talk about this competition, the 7-week business contest that you competed in, and well, you'll tell us what happened in the end.
Sure, the VP contest was back in 2010. So after working for a few different companies, there was a sales contest here in San Diego. It's kind of a spin-off of The Apprentice to some degree. 25 sales and marketing professionals that were kind of battling it out for 7 weeks. We had to do a lot of sales and marketing for 5 different companies. Ended up winning the contest.
You won the contest.
Was offered a job with the company that was putting it on, and decided to turn it down because during the last week of the contest, I met this girl who placed in the top 5.
Wait a minute, back up for a second. You were offered a job with the production company at that point, once you won the contest.
That's correct. That was the grand prize.
And was there good money involved?
Yeah, it was a 6-digit salary job. It was really exciting. It seemed like an interesting position.
Now, a lot of people would say, sure, where do I sign? But you didn't do that.
I decided that I wanted to go out on my own. And by doing the contest, I met some pretty amazing people that were also great at sales, and they had a really strong background in things that I didn't have a background in. And met an individual that we decided to start Business on Market Street with, and that was my partner, Nicole. And Nicole pulled in Aldo, so the 3 of us created
Another
Business on
one of
Market
your
Street
partners
together.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you're saying that that was fate, that contest?
Possibly, yeah, I think so. I mean, it led me in the right direction, and you know, we've been growing ever since we started this company. There's really great synergy. And the 3 partners, you know, it's important to really collaborate and partner with people that fill in your voids. So they've got the strength that I don't have.
Teamwork.
Absolutely.
Now, you took a huge risk turning down that 6-figure salary to venture out on your own. What gave you the confidence?
I think it was time for me to build my own thing. It was one of those things where when I made that jump from going from medicine into the business world, it was just the right time. I didn't want to work for somebody else anymore. I didn't want to work with somebody else's promises. I wanted to build my own thing. I wanted to promise what I could deliver. And I really wanted to focus on the specific things that I've learned over the past 7, 8 years being in business as to what I can provide to businesses and how to make an impact directly.
Now, as an entrepreneur, you have been described by many as determined, focused, and perhaps most important, passionate. You hear that all the time, that passion is something that really propels people to great success. Are you, in fact, passionate about what you do?
I'm a little type A, that's for sure. So passion is what drives me. The passion to really build something. I want to build something great that gives back. I want to be able to provide an opportunity for others to work within the organization that we're building, and to provide opportunity, not just for ourselves, but for others.
What do you think is most important in terms of starting to build that foundation to becoming a successful entrepreneur?
Well, I think repetition and really learning and education and practicing your trade is really important. So mastery, right? So mastering what you're doing is an ongoing thing, but having confidence in yourself and being able to venture out there and to create and then to build and then to allow others into your life to help you do that. So it's a combination, I think, of perseverance and dedication and really trying to perfect your trade.
And that confidence comes from what?
It comes from having that passion to build something, that want, that yearn. You know, I think the confidence also comes from a lot of practice, and it also comes from failure. You know, you can fail and then you pick yourself back up again.
Did you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's what has allowed me to go out on my own. And I wanted to really provide a benefit from the things that I learned from in the past.
How do you bounce back like that? If when you fail, and it could be a big failure because you're putting everything on the line, money, time, your reputation.
And I've had those. And bouncing back is actually very difficult, but if you have the proper support and if you are confident in yourself, I think that bouncing back is the only thing you can do. Because what's the other option?
What's the alternative? I would imagine that knowledge helps with your confidence as well, when you know what you're doing.
Going back to my science background has helped me because we provide a lot of marketing services, but it's an ever-evolving industry. And so like science, there's just so much of, everything's unknown. And so you have to test and you repeat and you look at the results, and then you go from there and you make decisions based upon the results that you yield. So what we do is the exact same thing.
You're keeping up with
and
the
you
changes,
have to
right?
evolve and you have
Yeah,
to stay
yeah.
informed, and that really helps.
Bob Afsari, co-founder of Business on Market Street, thank you so much for talking about your past. When we come back, we'll see what Bob is doing today on Today's Entrepreneur. Don't go away. And we are back with Today's Entrepreneur. I'm Janet Zappala. Again, thank you for joining us today. Our special guest, Bob Afsari. Again, he's the co-founder of Business on Market Street, and you've enjoyed a lot of success at a very young age. So I know you have a really good, useful story to tell about what you're doing today, how your company works, and what it does for your clients.
Sure, yeah, Business on Market Street, we classify ourselves as a go-to-market agency. And it's a hybrid between a marketing agency and a business development company. And we really focus on helping drive revenue to our clients. So how do you do that? We think there's 5 major disciplines that every company should be focusing on. And that's research and planning, branding, web development, marketing, both online and off, and business development. And then there are a number of different types of services that we provide within each one of those disciplines. But those 5 together in concert and in unison will hopefully yield a nice revenue for the clients that we're working with.
So what kind of clients do you normally attract?
So we're somewhat industry agnostic. We help a wide variety of different clientele. We've helped home developers, we've helped real estate agents, we've worked with in the vitamin and supplement industry. We've helped clients from the automobile restoration industry down to a cognac company out in New Jersey.
So pretty much across the board.
Across the board, we've touched a lot of different companies.
How do you stay competitive?
I think the type of services that we provide and the way that we go about the process, as well as the quality of work, the relationships we build, and most importantly, the results. We're very, very results oriented. So from a competitive standpoint, we work on being able to provide something that our other competitors cannot.
When it comes to being an entrepreneur at this point, I mean, there are a lot of them out there and a lot of them who want to be. How do entrepreneurs and their companies set themselves apart from the rest? As you say, it really is results oriented. Any client you have wants those results, but there's so many options out there. Again, there's a risk in terms of staying viable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to price yourself correctly, right? It has to make sense for the client so that there is some type of ROI, that when they retain you or they work with your company, that they're going to be able to see a return. In addition, I really believe in building the proper team, having the right type of people make up the company that all have the very specific skill sets that are needed in order to help generate that result. So that's one of the things we focus on, is building a very tight-knit, really specialized team of individuals that work at Business on Market Street that have been doing a fantastic job.
Could you do it on your own?
I guess it depends on what level that you're looking to do the services or work that you're doing, but I think that it's almost impossible if you're an individual doing everything by yourself. It's just simply too much. Collaboration, building a team, it makes it easier, and plus there's so many great ideas out there that one may not think of.
So you need good, like-minded people, but people of different skill sets and different talents?
Absolutely. I mean, our team is made up of developers, they're made up of graphic designers, copywriters, MBAs that can go out and do the research and build the business plans, operation managers, project managers, so people that have different types of skill sets that are able to contribute, and according to the type of work that we have to do.
What is the hardest part about being an entrepreneur?
I think it's managing everything that's happening all at once, because as you start to grow, the future is always bright, but at the same time you want to get out of every day and you want to figure out, well, how do we get through every single day and every week? And then as you start to grow and as you start to build a clientele, then it's money matters, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you usually start out with very little and you try to build something from nothing. And so being able to balance the type of work you do with the individuals that you hire, with the revenue and the cash flow coming in, managing all of it while still providing something that's true to your heart is always a very tough balance.
And as you just said so eloquently, trying to build something from virtually nothing. People may have a dream, may have a vision, but they don't have the capital to back it up. What do they do then?
Well, our story was we started with $500 and we grew our company from absolutely nothing, the three of us, Nicole, Aldo, and myself, my two other partners. And it was a long journey. It was a grind. We started off very slow. We didn't bite off more than we could chew. And we built the company in succession with our growth and with what our clients needed. And sometimes that's what it takes.
You started out with $500, so you didn't have that much to lose, though, either. Right?
No, that's correct. But we want to look at ourselves like our best case study. Being able to build something from nothing so that when we work with our clients, we can demonstrate that we're able to have a very similar impact.
You've been described as someone who's got that uncanny ability to hyper-focus on a client's needs. What is that uncanny ability?
I just have that, I guess it's the determination that when a client comes and they hire us, they're hiring us for a very specific purpose. And we want to deliver on that purpose, and we want to be able to provide that result to them. Or else they're going to go find someone else, as you talked about. How do you stay competitive? So we try to be as laser focused on what the clients are looking for, as well as adding the things that we believe are important as well to help the company grow.
Very good. All right, we're going to come back and talk with Bob again about where his company is going now. His vision continues, and I imagine it's even bigger than what you're doing now, correct?
I think so.
All right, we'll come back right after this. Welcome back to Today's Entrepreneur. I'm Janet Zappala. We've been talking with Bob Afsari. He is the co-founder of Business on Market Street, and they are a go-to market agency. They do everything from branding to web development to marketing to business development. And you've really enjoyed a lot of success, but now there's a lot of stress as an entrepreneur to keep everything going. Before you started with a couple of partners, and all you had to do was appease the clients. Now you have to worry about the clients and all of your employees, and you've got many.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the unsung, stressors that you don't really think about as an entrepreneur. In the beginning, you're trying to kick something off, and it's a challenge to get it moving. But then once you're moving, there's a whole new set of things to worry about.
So where are you going now as you continue in your journey?
So as we are now, we're providing the services that we provide, but we're also moving into a few different specific industries. Biotech and pharma is one of the major industries that we're going into, which goes back to my past of science and medicine. So we're going to be hitting that industry from a business angle. In addition, we've also created something called Project On-Ramp. And Project On-Ramp is something that we've been building for the last year. And that is a combination of an incubator and an accelerator combined into one, where we can bring in fledgling companies or small businesses that are looking to grow. And we provide all of our services in somewhat of a scholarship model. And there's going to be an investor panel that's going to be able to participate as well. So these companies can start with us at one point, and then providing all the services that we do, we're going to help them over an 18 to 24 month period to get to a certain point to then graduate from our program, and then they can be on their own.
You've now decided to be a little bit more specific in who you serve in the future. Is that a result of research that your company does, where you identify needs that are out there that you can fulfill?
That's correct. So a couple of things. So I'm going to clarify. Biotech and pharma is where we're heading. We also do a tremendous amount of work in the e-commerce industry, so consumer product goods, CPG companies. We're going to remain in that sector. That sector is a growing sector for us, and it's served us very well. And we've also been able to provide a number of different new technologies for our clientele. when it comes to biotech and pharma, being in San Diego, it just happens to make sense. And in addition to that, the background that I've had also helps with being able to target and enter that industry.
So again, you're utilizing your background, your skills, your education, your knowledge to grow your business.
That's
which makes sense, obviously. And you're using what you have geographically, or you're kind of accentuating the positive when it comes to living in San Diego and what that area has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the biotech pharma industry is so prevalent here in San Diego, and it's growing. And San Diego is becoming more of a hotspot for technology companies and consumer product goods. So it just makes sense for us to target and focus on that in the area.
Tips and advice for people who want to be another Bob Afsari.
Don't do it.
Now, you didn't even think about that. See, and a lot of things that are true are said in jest.
Well, I think that if you want to build something and your heart's in entrepreneurship, it just takes determination. It's going to take longer. I think we read a lot of things in the newspaper, we see things, on the web about companies that all of a sudden, are making millions of dollars and there's all this money being invested, but we forget and we don't see the real story behind it. It takes a long time to get to a point where a company is being featured on the paper, or to become a Facebook, or to become something where there's a ton of recognition, or there's even money being injected from an investor standpoint. So I think having patience, having perseverance, believing in what you're doing, and just not faltering from it and staying steadfast.
And tips in terms of how you can avoid some of those pitfalls?
I would say take one step at a time. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Pay attention to your cash flow. Pay attention to what's realistic.
Pay attention to your cash flow. That, I think, would be the number one priority.
Yeah, and I think, as entrepreneurs, and myself, I'm guilty of it, as you start to make money as a business, then you start to figure out where do you put that money. And for us, the number one place where we put our money is back into our employees instead of anything else. So we may not have the most glamorous office space, we may not have the most glamorous furniture or flat screen TVs, but what we do is we invest in our people. And I think that's what's really helped us. And that's the core goal, is to invest in people, invest in the people that work for us, and to help grow from an education standpoint and from a resource standpoint.
And in terms of giving back?
Well, I think Project OnRamp is going to be an interesting giving back story. Once we launch that, being able to provide companies that are looking for help, but they may, I think the difference between Business on Market Street and other agencies are all the different things that we provide. So we could almost be considered a one-stop shop. So if you bring a company through our program, they're going to be able to, get a ton of different attention from the different services, where they don't have to go and employ or hire 4 or 5 different people or 4 or 5 different firms to do what we do.
But they still have to pay for your services.
They do have to pay, but with Project OnRamp, what we're working on is a program where it'll be a competition-like environment. Companies can apply. We'll select the top 5 to 10 companies. There's going to be an advisory panel of investors as well. And then those companies that graduate and get selected into our program will not have to pay directly for our services. They're going to be put into our incubation acceleration program from the investment capital that's going to be inserted via a process that we create. So in effect, they don't really have to pay.
Okay, and again, these are mostly fledgling companies.
Fledgling
that
to
need
small businesses, yeah.
some help, some direction.
That's correct.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate all of your insight and your help. It's not easy to be a big-time entrepreneur. It's not even easy to be an entrepreneur, is it? I mean, you really do have to be able to accept all of the inherent risks, the challenges, the disappointments.
Yeah, I think, this journey's been a lot of fun, and we have some great things on the horizon. But, entrepreneurship doesn't have to be scary. There are things that add pressure and stress, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun as to what we're doing.
All right, thank you very much. Bob Afsari, co-founder of Business on Market Street in San Diego. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you'd like more information on today's entrepreneur, check out our website. We'll see you next time.